I will describe in detail the 10th verse of Chapter 1, Prathopadesh Rasmarana of Rasaratnakara Rasayankhand. So today, we're unlocking an absolutely extraordinary piece of ancient literature. And what's fascinating is that it doesn't just treat food as mere sustenance, just calories to get you through the day. Instead, it treats it as a deeply calculated, precise chemical mechanism. We are looking at a text where the human body is quite literally viewed as an alchemical vessel, and what you put into it completely dictates the success of your physical and ultimately spiritual transformation. Now, taking a really close look at the original Sanskrit text from this historical manuscript, verse 10 becomes our main focal point today, and it provides this remarkable window into ancient dietary sciences. We aren't just looking at a historical cookbook here, guys. We're looking at a highly structured, foundational regimen that ancient practitioners had to follow to the absolute letter. Section 1, Linguistic Parsing of verse 10. Okay, let's dive right in and decode this. To truly grasp the gravity of this ancient dietary regimen, we can't just skim the surface. We've got to meticulously break down the original Sanskrit script and examine the Anwai, or word-by-word breakdown. Look at that first row there. Gritsodanam translates literally to rice with ghee. Then we have Yavanam for barley and Gohumam for wheat. Further down, Mudge Yushikam translates to mung bean soup. By translating these key terms directly from the text, we kind of demystify the ancient language, right? It reveals exactly what physical substances are being prescribed. There's no guesswork here. These are clear, intentional dietary building blocks. Section 2, the Rasayana diet, major substances. Let's see what's actually on the menu. So here are the 6 major substances explicitly outlined in verse 10. We have rice with ghee, barley, wheat, mung bean soup, which is a staple, wild meat, noted in the text as jangalam mamsam, and finally milk or kshiramiva. Now really notice the profile of these foods. This specific combination is made up of easily digestible, highly nourishing grains, clean proteins, and pure dairy. It forms the absolute strict foundation of the Rasayana therapy diet. They aren't just picked at random, they are meticulously selected for their stabilizing, nourishing, and easily assimilated properties. In fact, if we cross-reference this with other classical texts, like the Charaka Samhita's Rasayana chapter, or the Sushruta Samhita's guidelines on Anapanavihi, they echo this exact same philosophy. You have to prepare the cellular environment through specific, pure substances. And honestly, it's wild because even modern materials science and nutritional research validate that this specific combination optimizes digestion while minimizing physiological stress. And this brilliantly illustrates the context. Check out that highlighted heading right above our verse, which reads, Rasa Sevane Pathyani. This roughly translates to the dietary regimen during rasa, or alchemical, consumption. This distinction is paramount. It tells us that this list of foods isn't just a casually suggested daily menu for a healthy lifestyle. No, it's a pathya, a highly specific, strictly restricted medical regimen that is absolutely required while a person is undergoing intense alchemical therapies. When we compare these elements, the profound logic of these ancient practitioners just really shines through. On one side, we have our prescribed diet, nourishing, pure, stabilizing foods that calm the body. But on the other side, as implied by the surrounding verses which detail what to avoid, we see a strict restriction against overly harsh, heavy, acidic, or agitating foods. It's a very clear, logical flow. To undergo delicate, intense, internal alchemy, you need a perfectly pure physical vessel. Agitating foods would aggressively interfere with the delicate chemical and energetic processes the Rasayana therapy was trying to achieve. And actually, modern pharmaceutical science and toxicology offer some mind-blowing insights here. Researchers studying modern chemistry and metallurgy, specifically metallothionein interactions, note that certain diets can drastically alter how the body processes metals. So this ancient restriction against harsh foods, it was very likely a calculated way to manage those exact heavy metal interactions during Rasayana therapy. Section 3. The purpose of the regimen, dehasity. So what does this all mean? Why was this intense detoxification and specific fueling process so necessary in ancient times? What were these practitioners actually trying to achieve by essentially living on mung bean soup and rice with ghee? Well, to understand their objective, we have to trace the text back to the very beginning of the chapter. Notice how the authors don't start immediately with the dietary rules. They start with the end goal. These opening verses discuss dehasita, which translates to bodily perfection. Verse 10's strict diet is intrinsically linked to this ultimate alchemical goal. The diet isn't just about digestion. Much like we see corroborated in companion texts like the Ashtanga Hridaya and the Rasaratnakara, it is the required stepping stone to literally perfecting the human form. Just look at this specific phrase extracted from those opening verses. Dehasatim sushobhanam, the attainment of beautiful bodily perfection. I just love how poetic yet precise that is. The ancient authors of the Rasaratnakara deeply, truly believed that this specific dietary preparation was the absolute prerequisite for human transformation. You simply couldn't achieve this state of beautiful perfection without first laying down the physical foundation with the proper foods. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. Within the Rasaratnakara, diet is not treated merely as sustenance to keep you alive and walking around. It's treated as a precise, required chemical preparation. Think about it. Just as an alchemist would carefully measure out metals, salts, and herbs in a crucible to create gold or powerful medicines, the individual must carefully measure and restrict their food intake to prepare their own internal biology for transformation. The body itself is the laboratory. And what's incredible is that a quick search through Google Scholar keywords or PubMed review articles on Ayurveda reveals that modern scientists are increasingly validating these classical claims. They're finding tangible, unproven turned proven physiological benefits to these precise food pairings and their impact on digestion and cellular health. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to ponder. If these ancient practitioners saw food not just as calories or a quick energy fix, but as the precise chemical foundation for profound bodily and alchemical transformation, how might that change the way we view our own daily regimens today? Next time you prepare a meal, ask yourself, are you just eating to get through the day, or are you actively preparing your vessel for something greater?